Well, hello, folks out there in YouTube land. Got a big show lined up for you. Let's get right on into this thing. All right, let's pull up this screen here. All right, the top QBs in the portal. We're going to discuss that and see who all is available. There's a bunch of good quality candidates out there that might be a good pickup for the Vols as either a backup quarterback or as a possible competitor for Joe Milton. So let's discuss that a little bit. Now, before anybody freaks out, I'm not saying Joe Milton's not going to be the starter. It's not what I'm saying. What I am saying is I'm not comfortable having one starter that has any experience and then having two backups that are freshmen. One is a true freshman. Granted, he's Nico and a five-star, which is great. He's never played a college down in his life. Okay, then we've got Jackson, who got hurt this year, and he's got maybe 12 snaps under his belt. And let's say we go down to Florida, and all of a sudden Joe Milton sprains his ankle on the first play. What are we going to do? Put a true freshman out there against Florida, at Florida? What if it's at night? Can you imagine how liquored up those folks are going to be?
You fellas been doing a bit of boozing, have you? Sucking back on Grandpa's old cough medicine?
No, oh no, sir.
Oh, no. That'll be ridiculous. You can't put a true freshman in that situation. You just can't. We need a quality backup at the very least. Let's say Joe doesn't play as well as Coach Heupel would like. Well, then you've got a quality backup that you can put in that has experience. So whether you believe Joe's going to be the answer for next year, or if you think it's a good idea to have a good quality backup, you know, what Josh Heupel has to do is figure out how to deal with risk, because that's everything he's doing right now.
Risk. Risk is our business.
That's right. Risk is his business. And that's something he's got to take into consideration. You know, we had a quarterback go down this year, and fortunately we got a quality backup in Joe Milton. Well, we don't have a quality backup for next year. We don't. I don't consider a true freshman being thrown into Florida, for example, as a good answer. Now, maybe if you're 7 or 8 games down the pike the way Clemson is, you know, Clemson put in their 5-star, and they should have put him in a lot earlier, and I think they'd be in the playoffs. But you've got a really stubborn head coach there in Dabo, and Dabo knows everything. Dabo is the king, and if you question him, he goes crazy. As you know, he's very sensitive. As a matter of fact, if he offers you a scholarship, you're not to go to any other school after that, or he will pull that scholarship back. He doesn't like the portal. He doesn't like anything. Everything should stay the same because that's the way he likes it.
Some men you just can't reach, which is the way he wants it. Well, he gets it.
Well, guess what, Dabo? The world changes, buddy, and you're not going to be able to dominate forever in that little easy conference you've got. We're getting ready to play, and your quarterback situation is fixed. That's for sure. That freshman's who you need to be going with, and I think Ukulele is transferring out, which he should. He needs to go somewhere where he can, you know, not have as much pressure on him, I think, because he looked like he was really struggling in that game. But let's take a look at who's out there that I think would be a good pickup for the Vols for either position. And this story goes through the top quarterbacks that are available in the transfer portal. These are guys who are actually in the portal, okay? Now, the first guy is Caden Slavis. And look, we saw this guy at Pittsburgh, and he slings the rock. He appears to me to be a bit of a gamer. You know, he's tough. Granted, we knocked him out of the game, but we hit him so many times. You could tell he was going to have trouble getting through the year, and I think he wound up missing several games. But this guy can really spin it. And what would interest me about Slavis is that he has played several years. I think he's got a year of eligibility left. He might have 2, but I think it's 1. But anyway, the important part, if you'll look at his numbers, this is a guy in 2019 that threw for 3,500 yards with a 72% completion rate. Then a 67, 65, and then he struggled this year where I think he was under duress most of the time. But this guy has played at a really high level, and it appears to me he knows what he's doing out there, and he's a guy that's pretty good under pressure. So this might be a good pickup for the Vols to have for 1 year as an insurance policy. I would actually be pleased if they'd pick up a guy along these lines. Now, I don't know whether or not he'd come in this situation because Joe Milton's the starter, and they've got Nico coming in and a 4-star in Jackson. But again, we need to think about what's best for the Vols and not necessarily what's best for an individual's pride or confidence or whatever it is. You know, it's always a good idea to have an insurance policy. The next guy they've got listed here is Braylon Braxton at Tulsa, but he would actually be a nice fit, but the problem is he's way too young and got way too much eligibility, so I don't think he's an option at all. The next fella is this Oklahoma State quarterback. He's actually would be a real nice fit as either a backup quarterback or somebody that could compete with Joe Milton for that starting position, and he's played for a long time. As you can see, he's played 4 years. He is a dual-threat quarterback. He has thrown in the 62, 63% completion rate until this year he dropped to 58. 58 doesn't work for us, but if he can get that number up to 65, and I think Josh Heupel could probably work with him and get him to that 65 level, which is where we need our quarterback to be. Right now, Joe Milton in his when he starts, he's in around 50. That won't get it done, and we need Joe Milton up in the mid-60s. If Joe can throw 65% completion rate, we're golden, as long as he stays healthy. But if you'll remember, last year he hurt his ankle, and that's one of the reasons that Hendon Hooker came in. So again, this would be a quality backup or a potential competitor for the starting position. He's had success. He is a dual-threat quarterback. He will run the ball and very athletic. So this would be a nice pickup if, that's if he's interested in coming here. The next guy is Devin Leary of NC State. Now, this guy's really good. He would probably fit into this offense pretty darn well. It's another guy that's been playing 4 years. He's got plenty of numbers to look at. Looks like he averages in the 60%, probably somewhere between 60 and 65%. 1 year, look at this 1 year he had, 2021, threw for 65%, 3,400 yards, 35 touchdowns, and 5 interceptions. Those are great numbers. Those are almost Hendon Hooker numbers. And this guy's already played 4 years, so he would be a definite possibility as far as a transfer portal guy. Now, here's another fella that might be a real good option as far as a backup quarterback, as far as the Vols are concerned, and that's Brennan Armstrong of Virginia. And we're going to take a look at his numbers. They're very interesting. This guy's been playing for 5 years, so I think he's 32 years old, married twice with about 5 kids probably. Anyway, he had an unbelievable year in 2021, 65% completion rate, 4,500 yards, 4,500. And 31 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, fantastic numbers. And then he had a big drop-off to 55% in 2022, and his TDs went down, his interceptions went up. And that had to do with the offensive coordinator leaving and changing the offense. So this is a guy that would be very interesting. He's obviously only got 1 year left of eligibility, and you might could pick him up because I'm assuming by these numbers he had to have been benched. So that might be a possibility as well. This guy, Kyron Drones, he's good, but he's a freshman, so that's a no bueno. Jay Butterfield, nope, that won't work. Too young. And all these guys are too young, and there's no way. I don't want ukulele. No, thank you. Too young. But there is one possibility of a guy that really has not been getting a whole lot of publicity as far as people clamoring about him because he's transferred so many times. First, he was USC, and he was a 5-star, so let's remember that. Then he went to Georgia, where he got beat out by Stetson Bennett when he got hurt. He was actually the starting quarterback there. Then he went to West Virginia. He had some struggles there. So this is a guy that might make a good fit for a 1-year situation. As you can see, he's been playing for 5 years, so he's again in his mid-30s. So I don't think he's reaching retirement just yet. But this is a guy that's got tons of talent. Look at these percentage completion rates. 73%, 67, 72. So the guy's got a great arm. But the problem is, and that's accurate. Look, if you're averaging 70% completion rate, you're accurate. The problem has been for him is sticking somewhere. And, he didn't have a great year at West Virginia. So I'm not really sure what's going on with him, but he's only got 1 year of eligibility left. So this guy might be a good fit for us as an insurance policy. So here's the thing. There's going to be plenty more quarterbacks come out, and there's going to be more in the spring as well. So it may be a situation to where Josh Heupel waits and sees what happens in the bowl game with Joe Milton. But still, even if he plays great, do you not want somebody that's got a bunch of experience backing him up? Do you really want to put in either 2 freshmen who have literally no experience or a couple of walk-ons? To me, I would want a quality backup. That's the one thing we did have with Hendon Hooker is we had Joe Milton behind him. That allowed Josh Heupel to allow Hendon, to do his normal thing, which is be a dual-threat quarterback. Right now with Joe Milton, you can't let him be a dual-threat quarterback because if he gets hurt, what do you got? Right now, you definitely can't. But next year, you're not that much better off early on until you get, Nico's feet wet or Jackson, some experience. And right now, I'm just not seeing that.
I'm not seeing it here, Lloyd. She must be unlisted.
So I would like to have a quality backup for many reasons. And there are a bunch of them out there. Any of these guys would do. The Virginia guy would do. The JT Daniels guy, I'd be fine with that. I think those are your best options right now. And it's probably going to have to be a guy with 1 year left who probably got benched or, thinks, hey, maybe I could come in here and take this starting position the way Hendon Hooker did and resurrect my career, and it's worth that risk. I could see a guy doing that still got confidence. So, something to consider. And some of you aren't going to like this because you don't want another quarterback in there. But, for me, I'm a big believer in having an insurance policy. So if you like this content, be sure to hit that like button. Lets me know to continue to cover the Vols, the SEC, and all the goings-on of college football. And if you haven't subscribed, hit that subscribe button. I would appreciate it. Anyway, I hope you did like the content. We'll see you next time on Sports Dog J.